Okay, may I start the countdown for the public live stream? All right, we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Shall we get started?
Yeah, I think they already did the countdown, Hila, and so we're live on YouTube, ready to take the first question.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for being here. So the first question is from Emily. Emily, do you want to voice your question?
Yes, thanks, Hila. First, these slides are awesome. Thanks so much for putting them together. I thought they were a really great overview of the growth group. Thank you. Under OKR2 in the slides, I noticed we talked about a specific dollar amount of IACV that the growth groups have already delivered on. I'm curious if that's like cash in the bank that we already have, or is that like money we expect to close over the next quarter or year?
Yeah, that's a great question. So these IACVs are estimated additional revenue in this quarter. So those already basically happened as of this date. But I also want to highlight that we expect these changes to continuously bring additional revenue in next quarter, the quarter after that, throughout basically the life cycle, unless there are some significant change that make those changes not as effective as anymore. So it will be continuous. The other thing is those IACVs, some such as renewal automation related, those are more direct because we make it easier, more customers renew and we get more ARR from that. Some are more estimated based on the conversion rate improvement. For example, we have some experiment that can get more customers to sign up for a paid plan. We improve the sign up flow in general. From those, we see a higher conversion rate in the experiment group. So we use that difference in terms of conversion rate, and with some typical contract value we saw from those flows to generate the estimated additional IACV.
That's awesome. Thanks for the additional detail, Hila. It looks like Kenny has the next question.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, second, great presentation, really helped me understand the work of the growth team quickly, so thank you. Is it fair to assert that the kind of primary focus is on the sign up and conversion workflows at this point? And I kind of asked in relation to slide 21, where you mentioned how the growth team supports other teams, but I was just wondering if that's a fair assessment of what the priority is at the moment.
Yeah, I think for the most part, the current focus for growth team, number one is as you mentioned, the new free customer sign up flow. How do we get more of them sign up for a paid plan? But we are expanding that to effective onboarding and increase stage adoption, because from a lot of the data, we saw that the more they learn about GitLab, the more stages, the more features they are able to use. We see a correlation with paid plan sign up. So those go hands in hands. The next focus, especially for retention and fulfillment team, are really robust billing flows and straightforward renewal process. We are making a lot of changes to make it more customer friendly and to make it more easier for internal teams such as sales to facilitate as well. And the third area especially for telemetry, is we are actively exploring some of the data sources we have right now and make more data available to the entire GitLab teams, because the more insight we can generate from those, the better decisions we can make as a company. So those work should help multiple teams. The conversion rate related work really benefit marketing team, because if we hold the marketing spend constant, the higher the conversion, the lower the CAC. We can bring more customers with the same amount of marketing spend. It helps sales team because we help remove the burden from converting some of the small and medium-sized customers. And we also made a lot of changes to make their process easier. For example, the renewal flow, as well as a lot of the update we made to the versions app to make it easy for them to kind of understand how customers are doing and reach out accordingly. This work will also benefit product team, because we will in general provide more data insight and get more customers to use your feature, so that a lot of the great work that has been done will realize its maximized value.
Cool, thank you. And that helps set the context. I guess my follow-up question is related in that as a leader of the product, of a section of our product teams, I guess I would categorize that the growth team and maybe like the engineering effort of the growth team is primarily focused on those points 1 and 2 that you just mentioned in the doc. But point 3 is really critical because it's kind of like the teach a man to fish, where you're providing important information like the SPU information to the R&D teams. And so then that makes sense. Can you tell us that SPU information was particularly insightful? Any just back of the envelope, how you think we should think about consuming that information and using that to adjust our plans?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So, SPU information is really around stage per user. So kind of for those are not super familiar, when we analyze data, we do see that there is a correlation between stage per user, meaning if a user uses multiple stages, there's a correlation with the conversion rate to a paid plan. So that's what we observed from the data. And we also, through a lot of analysis, can tell that some stages have more users, like small, some stages have fewer users. In terms of planning, I think it should be a balance between where we are. So a lot of the current data can tell us where we are in terms of which stage has more higher, small, more users, versus where we want to be, kind of the strategy. The reason I see that is if we only look at small or SPU, kind of those current data based on that to decide on the planning or a lot of the effort, it for the most part, it makes sense because we want to prioritize areas that people already are loving and using. The potential risk is that we are not looking at the opportunity. And some stages, some features, maybe by nature, they have a smaller TAM, they have a smaller target audience size, but that doesn't mean those features or stages have lower value to this group of customer. And also it doesn't necessarily mean those features and stages have lower value to GitLab as a business, because those features may be driven significant of upsell into a premium plan or things like that. So I think we should really look at the current data, the small, the SPU, and also conducting some qualitative research to understand customer, what do they really value? What features really mean more to them, or what use case really mean more to them? There are methodologies such as max diff survey and things like that to collect that information from customers to help have them rank kind of how important those things are to them, because the importance really can translate into willingness to pay, and also where we want to be as a company in terms of the market and the competition and things like that. So I think that's, I mean, it's not a easy thing to answer, but that's how I would think about it.
Awesome, thanks. My next one was kind of tactical. You had, and I lost my cursor. Oh, there you go. You had mentioned one of the highlights was this improved renewal communication flow, and I didn't have a good sense of what it was before, and what if that improvement was saving GitLab team members time or actually impacting the renewal rate. Mike, I think you started an answer.
Yeah, I can take that one. So, you know, the goal really there is to impact the actual rate of renewal. I think that it will help improve sales efficiency as well, because if we can make customers aware that their renewal is upcoming, they can reach out to their salesperson to get that process started where needed. You know, I can kind of read through the answer here, but one of the top reasons we saw for failed renewals in Salesforce is that customers either went silent or failed to respond to our emails. And previously we had only sent one email 14 days prior to the renewal, and that may be too late for some folks, or it makes it a lot harder. So we wanted to add more emails to the sequence, essentially. So we start out at 90 days, and then based on whether they have auto renew on or off, it will adjust, because if they have auto renew on, we don't need to hit them, you know, more than needed. The other changes that we've added were just better information and making it easier to get to the directions that you need based on your situation. So self-managed versus .com, auto renew on or off. And it was a big cross-functional effort with a lot of help from our folks in success and marketing and other teams as well. So really just want to say thanks to everyone who was involved there in getting it done. We just launched it a couple weeks ago, so we're going to continue to kind of see what impact it could have. The measurement capability is a little limited with Zora. That's where the emails come out of. So we don't have standard like open and click tracking, but we want to make sure that this is not causing any confusion with the base, and it's driving enhanced rate of renewals. So that's the context there.
Mike, can I ask one quick follow-up? Yeah. As I understand our business, we have really high retention rates. And I'm just wondering, it's hard for me to square why we would focus on the retention experience, or why we might have low renewal rates, given that I know we have high retention rates. So maybe, maybe the technology is strange there.
The retention rate that you're talking about is revenue based. So our actual subscription renewal rate is in the 60s, generally 60%. So there is still a lot of upside there. And in .com, it's actually even lower. It's like 55% renewal rate on the subscription level. So when you look at it kind of summed up at the revenue level, gross retention, net retention look awesome, but there's still a good amount of opportunity in there at the subscription level to make sure people are renewing. So that's why we think there's still a lot of opportunity.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
I think next question is from Alper. He can read, so I will read on behalf of him. His question is, in the time of COVID-19 and economic uncertainty, how would the growth plan be affected? Could growth make a bigger difference than the good economic times? I think that's the great question. I think growth team actually can make a bigger impact and matter more in the not so good economic times. The reason behind that is growth team is really, in a sense, our data-driven team. So a lot of our effort is trying to make it super clear what are the important metrics, what are the key critical customer conversion flows, what is the conversion rate in those flows, and how we can continuously maximize those and improve those. So when the macro environment is challenging, those become even more essential. Like, we don't want to waste any customer that already, for example, sign up for a free account, but they didn't convert to a paid account. We don't want to waste any of them. So growth team can play a big role there, and also help a lot of the team see the data, see the insight, and drive more efficient decision. The other reason behind this is growth team is really focused on helping maximize what we already have. So GitLab already has an awesome product. We have a lot of great features, but when customers maybe join the product, begin to explore, they may not be able to get all of the value. They may get lost in somewhere, get stuck. So a lot of growth team do is remove the barriers and to make sure they can realize the maximized value that we already built as a company. I don't know whether any other growth team members, Mike or anyone, you have anything to add to that one, or Sam or Jensen? Yeah, if not, so the next one is from Sid. Sid, do you want to voice your question?
Yeah, thanks for that. Can you walk us through the SMAO work in progress? It's a first draft, but maybe it's good to review it.
Yeah, can I share my screen and show it to?
Yeah, I hope so.
Sure, I can do that. Can you all see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so give you some background. We have been working on collecting small stage monthly active user from our data usage pin data. And historically, we have already published the .com small dashboard. So this new edition is a version that combine both .com and self-managed. So it's still working in progress because we're still trying to QA some of the data, but for the most part, it should be working and accurate. So what you can see here on the top, which is small. So this is the combined small from .com and self-managed. And you can see that the definition of small is based on number of unique users conduct a merge request in that month. And it's 180K for March between .com and self-managed. And then the next is verify. The definition of small verify is unique user in that month conducting finishing a CI pipelines. And then similarly, you have plan, which is a number of users creating issue, which is 80K. You have release, the number of users conducting deployments. So those four are the 4 stages where the data and the definition of small we are most confident at. And after that, you have some other stages like secure, manage, and secure and manage. So some of those are relatively small because some stages have fewer users and some of the stages are relatively new. So for now, I would suggest not to kind of look at those data yet before we kind of really audit and make sure they are reliable. And then we have kind of a chart called passive small. It's not the best name we can think of, but the reason why we highlight those 2 stages, which is configure and monitor for now in a separate chart, is because of the usage pin event we have for now for those 2 stages are more of a one-time action rather than a repeating action. So like, for example, merge request is a repeating action. A customer can do it every day. But those events at this moment are more like a one-time actions. They configured something in their projects, indicate they begin to use configure and monitor. That's part of the reason those numbers are low. So we want to highlight to make sure those are kind of in a different dashboard. However, we're working with the relevant team to try to find a better small, and if there's instrumentation needed, we may need to do that. And then we can make those definitions really clear and consistent between stages.
Yeah, my naming convention for that would be stage monthly passive users.
Okay.
Because it's ironic to have active users and then call it passive. So
yeah, that's a good call out.
Maybe we can add a new one for that.
Yeah, passive.
Look, I wanted I looked at this page, and if you scroll to the bottom, I want to see like what's coming from GitLab.com and what's coming from self-managed. And the GitLab.com SMAO data was higher than the total SMAO data. So the totals were higher, which was surprising. And then for self-managed, it seemed extremely low. Like we have over 100,000 active instances, and we're getting only a few thousand things.
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you look at the so first of all, ignore package here. I think I mentioned in a separate thread the package small event is not accurate. So just ignore that one. And if you look at create, it's 173K for GitLab.com, and for the overall is 180K. So it is consistent, I think, with the exception of package. And I agree with your kind of call out that the self-managed small is super low. I think there might be a couple reasons. One reason is, as we know, not all self-managed customers turn on usage pin. But I think the bigger reason is that because the change we fix usage pin timeout issue, that change was recently shipped. It takes time for self-managed customers to upgrade to that version for that to be captured. So this is only, I would imagine, maybe I asked the team to add that version adoption chart here so that we can have a better idea. But I would imagine only a small percentage of self-hosted customers upgraded to that version yet. So that's
I can imagine that too. So like, suppose 1/3 has the usage ping on, and suppose only 1/3 of that has upgraded to the latest version. Still, if you multiply these numbers by 10, and you'd have only 60,000 people using Create, 60,000 users using Create, that'd be disappointing because we should have millions of users on the self-managed version. So there might be more at play here. But thanks for having a draft, and I understand it's a draft.
Just to add that the data is missing still. I mean, it's starting. It's the first week, first set of pings. In 1 month, it will be better.
One thing
because people are still upgrading, or is there another effect at play we haven't discussed?
It's upgrade.
Sorry, go ahead, Hopper.
It's yes, upgrading people, and also their usage ping coming to us in that particular load time when we loaded it. So there might be, I think we shall need a few more weeks to really see. And that numbers will stabilize, I think, in 4 weeks or so. And then we shall only have the effect of usage ping is turned on or not.
Sure, yeah, I counted for that. Cool, thanks. Let's look at it in a week or so.
Yeah, but we can investigate a little bit more, just see whether there are anything else that still need to be fixed on that one.
I think a quick comment on that is that right now there's only been, so many instances that have upgraded to 12.9, which has this staged monthly active users. As 12.10 and 13.0 and 13.1 get rolled out, we expect more and more users to keep adopting this. So the expectation here for the self-managed SMAO dashboard should be that it's constantly going to be rising up until we hit some sort of normalized rate where everyone has adopted the usage ping. Then it can be compared with the GitLab.com. So I think it will take a little bit of time for this to normalize, because this is just all of the growth which we see right now is most likely going to be attributed to just people adopting usage ping.
Yeah, my point was that even accounting for upgrading and even accounting for the usage ping, we still seem to be off by an order of magnitude.
Yeah.
But we'll look at it in again a week or two.
We can look into that as well. Sid, thank you for pointing that out. Cool. So that's that one. And then
excuse me, I actually added a comment to that. I was just curious if we have any estimate or idea of how many self-managed instances have usage ping blocked at the network level instead of actually turning it off in the application. It is on by default, so it should be getting sent, but I do know a number of customers have it blocked at the network level. Is there any estimate how many that could be, or what percentage would have it blocked at the network level, even if they do upgrade?
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but I think that's a good question to ask. Jerome or Alper, do you guys have any information on that at all?
We don't have that data right now. It'd also be pretty hard to get because if they're blocked, and then we simply don't know whether they're just not opting in or whether it's due to their network. We might be able to do something with the license ping side of things and sort of compare what's being sent over to us via seat link versus the opt-in for usage ping, and then try to come up with a number that way. But even then, it wouldn't be super accurate.
Do you think it would be safe to assume that air-gapped customers or customers operating in offline environments would have neither the usage ping nor the license or seat link ping available or working with their existing architecture?
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg. That's a great question. It's definitely worth looking into. The next question is from Sid as well.
Yeah, I think this was solved. We have multiple tests on our pricing page, so probably not the best idea to call them pricing page tests, because now we have 3 pricing page tests and nobody knows what we're talking about. So, but it's going to be renamed. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you, Jensen. And I think that we're almost ready to deploy. Jensen mentioned it should start this week. That's an experiment we all look forward to. And then the next question is from Ryan. Ryan, do you want to voice your question?
Yeah, thanks, Hila and growth team. So my question is on it's great to see the increased number of signups. I wanted to know if that was visible anywhere against the base size of web page visits.
Hi, this is Jensen. Yeah, I've answered it here. Like, we don't, we just use those as a leading indicator. So total web page visits versus the number of users that we're converting. And we do have that number. That's the very top of the funnel that we measure. And right now we're just working towards like moving people from the main top of the funnel through what we consider like the growth pieces, which would be like pricing page, and then paid sign up flow is the middle to the end of the funnel. And so we're just working through that right now. And the very top of the funnel, total page visits, is likely it's a marketing effort. They're doing an awesome job pushing more users to those pages. So, we have the data, but the growth team isn't really going to be concentrating on that part of the funnel.
Got it. I'm just wondering for the part that you're looking at, more signups, are we getting more conversion or are we getting more throughput?
We are getting more conversion.
Got it. Thank you.
The next question is from Tim. Tim, do you want to voice your question?
Yeah, primarily, has there been any discussion in regards to allowing the SMAU data to be propagated back to our customers, just so that they have a better insight? We recognize that Sid has mentioned in the past that higher SMAU across stages increases basically the value that the customers see. So from an account management perspective, we could potentially engage with the customer and say, hey, here are some strategies for increasing SMAU for a particular stage that you struggle with.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't know there's nothing concrete, like that's nothing on the roadmap immediately, but I know we have an analytics group within the GitLab product groups, and also we have telemetry group as well. So I know the two teams, Jeremy, Sid, and Jerome, they are talking about potentially how we can maximize the value of analytics to our customers as well. Jerome, do you want to add more?
Yeah, definitely. It makes total sense. The first step here is making sure that we are getting the data right. So we just got usage ping working again. And the next part is how can we surface that back into the product itself so that people can see how are they actually using GitLab. Currently, people can see what sort of usage ping data they're sending us, but in order to actually display it to them so they've got a better understanding of it to help enable sales, that would be the next sort of step.
Great.
Cool. The next question is from Mac.
Sure, it's 1 minute left, I'll be fast. So we have a group that's working on the rollout of large installations and the increase of seats. I'm wondering if there's any opportunity we can collaborate and increase the purview of how we're tracking analytics of self-managed. I added the link there. So I think it's related to retention and also telemetry. We have a number of migrations planned and going into the course of the next few weeks. So I'd love to have a hand from the growth group as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jensen mentioned we have some research project on the self-hosted installation flow, and Jensen, Mike, myself, definitely we can have a conversation with you on those and see how we can better collaborate on this. I think we are at time. Thank you everyone for joining the growth group conversation. We look forward to have you next time as well. Bye.